and welcome to our first Teen Makers video. We are going to be making a fairy light jar today. If you picked up a kit from the library, I'm gonna let you know what's in it, and then if you did not get a chance to pick up a kit, you are more than welcome to see what we have here and recreate it at home. So let's get started. So in your kit, you have one jar, you have a small paintbrush, you have one glow stick with the little connector thing. You have some droplets of food coloring. You have some glue, glitter, a piece of string. And then you will have 3 silhouettes to choose from to cut out and put in your jar today. There's fairies, butterflies, and dragons. And this part is completely optional. If you don't have to add silhouettes to your jar. It's completely up to you what you want it to be. So what you will need at home today for our craft is you are going to need 2 tablespoons of water and a pair of scissors. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do, we are going to cut out our silhouettes if we're adding our silhouettes. To save us a little bit of time, I already pre-cut my silhouettes out. So I have 3 butterflies here to add to our jar. I use smaller scissors for this. These are small craft scissors that you can use. I recommend these because it can be kind of hard to cut out the little itty bitty spots. If a little bit of white shows, it's okay, because once you add like the glue to the jar, when we paint on the inside, you're not gonna see those little flaws as much. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Our next step, move these aside. We are going to mix up our concoction together to paint the inside of our fairy light jar. I'll pull it off that and set that aside. So right here, it's hard to see because my bowl is clear, but I added 2 tablespoons of water to this bowl. And I'm going to add my glue to the bowl, just like that. If you don't have to use all the glue. You want the consistency of this to be thin enough that when you paint the inside of your jar, it's still kind of translucent and you can see through it a little bit once we've added glitter and our food coloring. So this is up to you how colorful you want to make it. I'm just going to add a few drops in for mine. But if you want the color really intense, feel free to add a lot of color to it. It's completely up to you. The same thing, you each have a little bit of glitter. The glitter is optional as well. If you don't want it sparkly, that's okay too. I'm just gonna probably add about half of this, but I did add a little bit of extra glitter to the kits in case you wanted really sparkly. So once I've added that all together, I'm gonna take my brush. I'm just gonna stir this up really well and get that glue added to the water. Now, as you can see, the glue is starting to water down. So with school glue, the school glue that I'm using today, when it does dry, it's white right now, it's gonna dry clear. So you can see there's lots of glitter in there, but not too much glitter. The first jar I did was a disaster. I used way too much glitter, and it was, yeah, the glow stick did not glow through at all on our fairy jar. So that's why I was a little more conservative with my glitter this time. Okay, so next we have our beautiful jar here. What I'm gonna do is, for these silhouettes, what we wanna do is, you want the black to go on the inside of your jar, but when you paint it, you're gonna paint it like this. You're gonna paint the back side of your butterfly or whatever shape you choose, but you're gonna try not to paint the front side. And that will really make it stand out. So I'm gonna put that in my jar like that. Oh goodness, I have something yellow on my hand. Must be from food coloring. So I'm gonna go like this. And once you get your butterfly kind of damp, it's gonna stick to the side of the jar. It's okay if it gets a little bit on the front side. It just helps it to really stand out the more of the black there's there. I'm gonna pat this. It's starting to stick. So as you can see, the more water I add, it's really starting to stick to the side of the jar. Like that. Okay, so you want to be kind of gentle at first. So we're eventually going to coat the whole jar, but I'm going to do this 3 more times. So I'm going to do one on the back and then one on the side. And then I figure one part of it's probably going to face the wall. And if you want to plan that around the text of the jar, like you want that to face wherever you're putting your fairy light so they can't see the text, you can do that as well. But I didn't think about it this time. So I'm going to keep going. So I'm going to flip around. I'm going to place my butterfly in there gently. So yeah, you can have a butterfly jar, a dragon jar. There's this really great website I found called Silhouette Garden, where you can print out a bunch of different kinds of silhouettes and they're free. So I will put the link in that in the comments. If you're like, I'm not into butterflies, dragons, or fairies, you can find your own one that you want to do. So you can hold it with a finger and make it stay. Like I said, it's not the end of the world if it gets on the front, but you just want it as much as possible not to be on the front. And really getting the back side of it damp is really going to help those stay. All right, last butterfly I'm going to add on there. And each kit's going to have different food coloring in it. So if you get a color at home that you don't love, this is just regular old kitchen food coloring from the kitchen. So if you want a different color, feel free to use whatever color you have at home to use. It's coming along. Okay, almost there. Okay, so I got my 3 butterflies. They're in there inside my jar. There's a little bit of glitter poking through, which is fine. So once all those are in, now I can take the rest of my glue mixture, and you probably won't use all of this. It's better to make more than not enough. So now I'm ready to paint the inside of my jar. If you want a bigger brush to make this process go faster, feel free to use a bigger brush. I chose the smaller brush because it's going to make me take my time and be kind of gentle with the butterflies that I added to the jar. Just going to paint the inside of this. So it's kind of like a milky pink. When I dry it, it's gonna dry clear, so it won't, that milky color won't be there. I keep going around. Okay, so the goal is to paint the inside, and when you look through it, there are no clear spots of glue. So we can keep mixing. All right, so I got that covered about as much as I would like it. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to use a hair dryer to dry this so you can see it and we can finish our jar. You do not have to use a hair dryer. So for the next step, you can let it dry overnight and finish afterwards. Our last step after this is going to be to add the glue stick and the string to tie around to make it look cute. So I will be right back. But if you do not have a hair dryer at home, this is a good time to pause, let it dry overnight with the lid off, and in the morning it will be dry enough to add your glow stick. So I'll be right back. Okay, we are back. So I just used a hair dryer to dry the inside of my jar, and I noticed one thing while I was blow drying the inside of the jar. If you notice, there's just little air bubbles like on the side of your jar where you put your butterfly down, and you can just kind of poke those. And if you just poke them gently and kind of smooth it out, that's going to move the little bubbles down and help that surface go. There's a big one. So as you're drying, that's just something to keep in mind. I don't really think you'll have the issue if you're not like drying it really fast like I am. If you leave it overnight, you can check it throughout the time that you leave it over to dry if you just kind of poke it as it's drying. So that was just one little thing I noticed. So now our jar is dry. We're super colorful and fun, and you can see it's kind of translucent. It's not completely transparent. It's just really pretty and kind of airy. So we are going to now break our glow stick to put inside. I'm cracking, just kind of fun. I always love cracking up a glow stick. And you're just going to attach this to one end and to the other to create a ring. And then it's going to fit right inside your jar. And you can just plop it down like that, and you got that glow. Next step, you're going to tie on your lid again. And then our very last step, if you want to kind of decorate your jar, add a little bit more flair to it, I guess. Is that the right word? Pizzazz. There's a piece of string in your jar that's just kind of fun and cutesy that you can add if you do not want to. It's completely up to you. And I'm just going to come around the lid of my jar. You're about to see how wonderful or not skilled I am at tying ribbons or bows. So I'm just going to tie mine like a shoelace. You may know a more complicated way to tie it. It's completely up to you. So I'm just going to do a loop around like I was tying a tennis shoe. And then I'm going to position where I want it to be, just those little ties. You can do any kind of knot, or if like you have some beads at home, maybe you want to put around your jar, you can do that as well. So, and then I'm going to cut this extra part off. Maybe. Okay, yay. All right. And there you have it. You have your own little fairy jar, and it will look really cute in the dark. But I want to thank you all for coming to Teen Makers, and we'll see you soon at the library. And my name is Miss Grace. If you ever need help with anything, have a wonderful day. Bye.